locked up. That was a gut punch.
Ooh, you know,
And
we
so,
were all there. I mean, it was probably the worst thing I've seen live in my life.
I lost my voice. We all lost our voice.
I almost lost my mind.
We did.
Really. I think I walked outside. She was screaming so loud,
I was
and
done.
you can't even begin to try to comfort. There is none, because it was so over the top. It was so much, and it was during such a huge weekend for Black folks in this town. We saw some more ammunition, with the collusion of white power, with ammunition trying to get us to fight one another. And that's not what we needed. We needed to comfort one another. We needed to be able to go inside internally and say, this is what we need to do for the judge and for other people like her, and for the children that she could have saved inside of that system. That's why I cannot leave the table, is because what Sister V said, if I don't get to see the numbers, I can't come back and say, hey, NAACP, here's where the issues are. If I can't come back and say, Sister V, this is the research we need to do, especially around trauma with our children. And then we don't even get to talk about our babies that are inside adoptions, that are just being
talking about family separation.
You know,
it's happening all day at Job and Family Services.
It's too much.
So it's a gambit of things. But I wanted to say real quick what we are doing, because a lot of people in the community felt compelled to do something. They didn't know what, but they knew they had to do something. So in the last couple of weeks, since Honorable Judge Hunter was dragged off to jail, there has been a collective of individuals from all backgrounds, all ages, coming together every Monday, 6 p.m. at New Prospect Baptist Church,
1580 Summit Road,
which is Reverend Lynch's church, and we want to say thank you to him.
It belongs to the members too.
Yeah,
the membership.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you, Pastor Lynch really did this same thing back in 2001 when we really wasn't sure where to meet. It was like a no-brainer, and I watched him then and I'm watching now, and it's a no-brainer. Just open the doors, and we thank him for that. Can I say this about the Monday meetings, because this is something we're going to be doing, and I want people to understand. We're actually on Mondays now, we are going to be bringing to the table experts in these different areas that we just broke down. When we're talking about looking at the numbers and understanding that system a little bit better, I hope people come out. We're allowing people about 10, maybe 15 minutes. They'll field a few questions, but I know can I say Raquel? Can you tell them who she is?
Raquel Howard she is a former litigator, and she was a director at the Children's Law Center. She actually sued Hamilton County Juvenile Courts because of lack of representation for children, lack of access to representation, and a whole host of other things.
And that was a while ago, before we knew a lot of what was going on. So that's just an example of who's going to be brought to the table. So if people want to come,
to have the clerk of courts to explain
we just have
the
him
fines
there.
And fees, and I hope that people learn, because I didn't know. I asked. I wanted to know what made the $34,000. And then where does
you think that was good?
From?
I thought that was good, because people need to understand that, where it's coming from, and it was pretty much an eye-opener, so I hope people come out to get that information. I think it was also Victoria and Nicole, and we need to make sure we monitor this, because people who are found guilty in the in the criminal justice system, which I think is criminal, the justice system is criminal. It is.
They are the ones who assign these fees, and oftentimes if you're found guilty, you go to jail, so you lose everything. How am I supposed to do all of these fees on top of everything?
And they will criminalize you again because of the fees.
Because you paid a fee, would get locked back up.
That's standard. But I just want to highlight, some of the victories, but also we thank Reverend Lynch, the Black media, because we've all came together from Nathan Ivy to the Buzz family here, Truth2Power. We used our voice to amplify to a national level, and we were able to do that, and that's because of the unity in Black media, and we got to continue that. We also want to highlight our victories, because while we've been out here, we've been to the National Black Journalists Conference, and we was able to get Judge Hunter a voice there.
And over 200 newspapers nationwide. Yes.
People seen that on the news all over. And one of the things that they are asking, they saying they ready. So whatever it is that we design here that we think would be an issue of justice, and we need other cities' support, they are waiting to hear our voices.
Nation of Islam, Final Call. Derek Bozeman in Atlanta, WAOK radio. we were at Washington Park, and we get up on the stage. Thanks to Iris. Black Family Reunion, which is coming up.
Right.
And we was at the Trump rally, and so right tomorrow. We're going to have Yusef Salaam Thursday. It's a keynote speaker, and if anybody know about being wrongfully in prison, being a political prisoner, and being exonerated, in the end, is this gentleman here, part of the now exonerated 5? They used to call it Central Park 5.
Yeah.
This is at going to be at Corinthians Church at 6:30 tomorrow. Corinthian Baptist Church.
Yes, 6:30.
Be
there, open.
And Iris will be there,
yes.
and facilitating some of the discussion. So
through all of my tears, because
yes,
I'm still waiting.
Don't start crying.
no.
Don't start crying.
Any other victories, Nicole, you want to
And just the 2 important motions that could be, the very pathway to Judge Hunter's exoneration. One by Attorney David Singleton and her team with Jennifer Branch.
We want to thank them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And they put an incredible motion, and it's really the work of what Cecil Thomas did on his own when there was a City Beat article, which ironically involved the very prosecutor that slapped her with 9 felony charges, and another judge on an even higher level, Justice Patrick DeWine. And what they came to discover was that this gentleman, the judge, is asking the prosecutor to secure a contract and employment for his grandson for a summer internship.
Like that's not a common practice.
I think it's a common practice because there's a lot of people with the same last names through our juvenile through our court system. But this whole exchange was able to be retrieved. We have the smoking gun because they asked for a public records request and they got it. And you see the whole entire exchange. And not only did he agree to it, but he secured the contract. The young man did have the employment.
Right.
And so we're talking about in one case where you have Judge Hunter, who they are going off the interpretation of her attempt, if that was even the case, because they don't even have, no one can produce this so-called document.
It's just a folder they did like this.
This so-called document that she used to try to help her brother get her job back, which he never received his job. So a big part of the law, which I encourage everybody to go look up the Ohio Revised Code on having an unlawful interest in a public contract. When you find anywhere in that documentation that says passing along information, let me know. I won't hold my breath on that, because what it does say is securing the contract.
Right.
And when it comes
he had
to
worked there 7 years before she even got to the bench.
She did not hire, she did not fire, and he never got his job back.
Right.
So we have a woman spending 6 months, 3 years probation, and 18 months on the shelf for what is considered maybe an attempt, but there's no
that's not even a crime.
paperwork.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's not even. It's not a crime. But let me ask you
The
this.
charge don't even apply.
It doesn't apply. But let me ask you this, because I know you are a criminal justice major, and that is your baby. How does this make you feel? I often ask Black attorneys and judges and those who work in the criminal justice field, how does this, when you see such a miscarriage of justice over and over and over again, how does it make you feel about the law?
It makes me lose faith in justice, and it makes me want to fight harder for it. But just where it stands right now, which I know a great deal of that is the individuals in there. We're not talking about an entity that's just ran on its own.
Right.
Is individuals in there. That's what a structural racism looks like. Key people colluding and collaborating to put their agenda or whatever their actions forward. And so what we're just seeing is just some bad players in key positions that need to be removed.
Okay.
Can I add to that real quick? Something I had actually learned from Jesse Jenkins. I learned so much from talking to him. He's an older soldier,
Yes.
and sometimes you do good to sit down and chit chat with him. But one of the things that he eloquently put to me in a way that I could really understand, hopefully your listeners will, how that system happens, where you have people who are elected. Let's say you elect 5 people, but those 5 people can bring on 10 people as staff, and they bring it on their sons, their daughters, their sons' friends, their next door neighbors and things like that. So they may not always share the last name.
Right.
But next thing you know, you have a whole system down there where they are all, like I said, it's an ancestral relationship.
These are. Do you think the Winklers ran the clerk?
But see, the Winklers, but the Winklers also brought in their in-laws with different names, their neighbors, and you know, hey, neighbor, can you give me? And people need to understand when they do that, these are not jobs that pay $35,000 a year. These are jobs that pay $90,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year. Now you tell me you can't live in a nice neighborhood with that. You can't put your children through college like that, and then next thing you know, now the child then came out of college. Guess where they going? Right to
back into
you
that
also
same
have to look at
system
how you also have to look at how those magistrates are seated, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes those magistrates come through, they are appointed, boom, next thing you know they're running. Y'all, it is a whole, when they say systemic racism, and y'all wonder how they colluded with to get Hunter out and how so many systems failed her. That is exactly how, and that is what needs to be torn down. So we got to go after policy. Protesting is good, and y'all know I love it. But policy change, that is going to be the wicked thing that we're going to have to get down into, and it's going to be dirty, and we're going to have to roll our sleeves up and get ready to do it.
And they tout at every turn. They tout at every chance they get to say, you know, she had appeal after appeal after appeal.
Correct.
And but the people she was going before, like this Patrick DeWine, which
Wait.
her case went before him too, and then after he told her no thank you, he goes and do this with Joe Dieters. That's what the big slap.
What about Billy Cunningham? His wife Penelope is on the appeals committee, yet he's down the Dow calling Hunter crazy. See, we already know how they demonize people after they have done wrong to them, and so they demonize them. And so they knew they didn't have a case. The main thing his job is to keep telling people, well, she's crazy. Well, you know, she's crazy, and that kept people from not looking at what they were actually doing legally that was wrong. So it's a whole system, y'all. It stinks to the high heavens, and that's why it's going to take all of us to wake up and get involved on some level.
And it was easy for them to hang her out to dry than to have the whole system collapse. But I think that's what's about to happen.
Can I give some successes of the CA really quickly? I'm sorry. And I want you to incorporate this into your notes. Because since the CA, we have reduced the arrest of black men to 50%. Right. It's still disproportionately high, but we've reduced it. We've reduced the number of felon arrests. We've reduced the number of injuries to citizens. We've reduced the number of injuries to police officers. We've reduced the number of lawsuits towards the city of Cincinnati when officers act inappropriately, or when they do unconstitutional policing, or when they don't use community supportive policing, as Victoria eloquently said earlier. So when we talk about, when people ask me, well, what does it really do? Because policing is an action now, and then once that action now, if it goes egregious and it's wrong, then we have to look at what happened before. That's when the application is applied. That's when you have to begin to look at those policies and procedures that Sister V talked about. So we've been at the table doing some work. We've changed over 250 policies, procedures, and guidelines. We have a Citizens Complaint Authority that has subpoena and investigatory power, and we see how powerful it is because at every turn.
And they're trying to shut that down.
But it's codified, and so it takes me forever to say that people are going to say none of the CA is law. Citizens Complaint Authority is law. Right. Policies and procedures is law. You just can't, not do them. But again, like you said, Nicole, it's the people in place to make sure.
Are they going to follow the law?
Are they going to follow the law?
So right here, real quick, and then we really got to cut it. But with what Attorney David Singleton put forward, so we got the two judges. We have Judge DeWine and Judge Hunter, two accused of the same thing. Justice DeWine case was dismissed. So they went through the whole process, and their whole bottom line is,
was that even public? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well. David's bottom line, or Attorney David Singleton's bottom line is, was Judge Hunter's equal protection under law rights violated, because what you do for one, you have to do for the other, or either the law is so vague and discriminatory that you have to, just vacate her system and let her go. Because how do you get one instance where, you have one justice breaking or violating the law almost to the T of the law, and then you have, evidence that isn't even concrete in one, and haven't even fulfilled all the the actions in the law as a violations, but she's serving an extreme, the max amount of time and a little bit more. Also, it's unethical for a judge to request a personal favor, but it's common knowledge that a judge should always avoid actions of impropriety, and even the appearance of it. So the Code of Conduct for the United States Judges, Canon 2, Section B, outline outside influence. It says a judge should not allow family, social, political, financial, or other relationships to influence judicial conduct or judgment. A judge should neither lend the prestige of the judicial office to advance the private interests of the judge or others, nor convey or permit others to convey the impression that they are in special position to influence the judge. So that is a code in our Constitution, you know. And so not only has by him just asking, Joe Dieters to give his son a job, it not only did it compromise the integrity of the court and the prosecutor's office, and really they both should resign, because what we're seeing is this prosecutor, who has done a tremendous favor for the DeWine family. That family extends all the way to the governor. Yes. And you see how he gloats and talks about, hey, I just called the governor to call for the National Guard. Hey, I just called the governor to get her sentence. Well, I bet you could. Yeah. I bet the relationship, but that's the reason why that shouldn't happen, because of these favors. So now my faith into this system, and all of our faith in this system, should be broken, because how does anybody get justice when you have people colluding and doing favors, judges who make critical decisions? Patrick DeWine had Judge Hunter's case.
That's right.
And after he declined her appeal, he goes and do this. So
right.
It was just
but Joe Dieters charged her, and then he wants to say, I want to get her commutal. Well, why'd you charge her?
Right.
Why'd you do that?
It was just a safe haven. So now when people are demanding for her to be free, which a lot of people who think what happened to her is wrong, but don't have the boldness to do anything more than say it's wrong. They just say, well, maybe she just need to call the governor. That's just the easy way out, instead of just saying she should never have been. She should not be in there now. She needs to be released now, and under the terms of full exoneration, because she is an innocent woman and she does not deserve to be there, and nothing less is acceptable.
So you need to make sure you announce the Freedom Fund dinner that's coming up at the end of LCP, so people can.
Oh yeah, Freedom Fund dinner.
Can I do one real quick?
Okay.
The canon code violations. I have filed several complaints against judges. Okay, and I can tell you, even that system is broken. Okay,
right.
And there's something that's always key there, is that when you read it, it'll tell you when you're filing this, you're supposed to keep keep it secret. Like, you're not supposed to let that be known to the public that you're filing anything against them. And I think number one, that needs to change. Number two, I have not had one. Dinkelacker violated that same canon code when he sat there and took personally the postcards that he received, and therefore having an impact on how he sentenced her. Yes. So I want to cuss, but I'll be good. He good. he needs to have a write-up as well, a complaint filed against him too. But like I said, even parts of that is broken in terms of where it goes and who looks at it and reviews it. We should be able to see how many complaints are being filed on these busters whenever it's filed. I should be able to go to a website and see what the nature of the complaint was, who filed it, and how the people reviewed it and came up with their decision. And all of that's kept separate. That's why I say to y'all, systemic racism, we got to get in there and understand it, and we have to break it. It can be done, but it's going to take will from our people to be serious about it to get it done. So I just wanted to say that about those canon codes, because I done filed a whole bunch of stuff on these judges.
So
and I'm about to do it again on Dinkelacker.
we're essentially fighting for equal justice for all. But we're going to conclude here, and so we do have the Freedom Fund dinner. We'll talk more about it on our next podcast. But we have
not to bring me and Iris on, girl.
I'm being reserved.
This is
Me too.
good.
I am too. I wish we had
wanna
more.
be on the microphone.
I wish we had more time, but we don't.
I know. We went
So I
way over.
acquiesced to my sister
We may have to
Nicole.
break
Love
this
her.
up in 2 shows. I don't know.
Hear the infamous letters from Dan.
But thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned. Freedom Fund Dinner, September the 28th. We have Cleola Brown, first female president for A. Philip Randolph Institution, a very powerful organization doing a lot of powerful work for our rights and equality. So you don't want to miss it. And it's going to be at the Duke Energy, 6:30. Make sure you're there. Get your tickets. Go to CincinnatiNAACP.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ladies.
Peace and Black Power. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate you.
Thank you, ladies. And we're out.